Hi, welcome to Bipolar Boxing Picks. This is Nick. We're just going to do a quick rundown of the Max Holloway versus Arnold Almighty Allen fight. Just the main card. It's from Kansas City, Missouri, Saturday night. It's on ESPN. I believe the telecast starts at 8:30 Eastern Time. And this is a great fight card, top to bottom. We're just going to do the main card here. I'll give you the odds. I'll let you know who I like to win. But I'll also let you know, like, if there's value on certain guys, because I think, especially in this, the main card here, I think there's just value on certain fighters. You might not like them to win or whatever, but there's value. Like, betting MMA is a lot different than betting boxing. In boxing, and this isn't a knock on either sport, but in boxing, the cream usually rises to the top. It's easier to win if you're supposed to win in boxing. There's so many paths, different paths to victory in MMA that it's very easy to lose. So especially if you're a heavy favorite or whatever, like you can't just run and bet heavy favorites. Like you can do that a lot in boxing, and because if the guy gets hit in boxing and he gets rocked or whatever, he can hold and he can do all this stuff. In MMA, like you're done. You get hit with one punch, you could be done. If some guy is a wrestler and he lands two takedowns and steals 2 rounds from you, you're done. I don't care how good your striking is. It happens every single week I see it. So it's a tougher sport to bet. And like I said, it's a sport where you have to look at value. In boxing, it's very difficult to find value. In MMA, you have to look for it. You can't just run in and bet all the favorites on the card. You can't do it. Trust me, I've tried several times. There was one card many years ago. It was Frank Mir versus Bigfoot Silva. Every single underdog hit on the card. I believe there was 13 fights. Every single underdog hit, and I bet every single favorite and lost all 13 fights. And it was not pretty, including the last one. So you get caught chasing, and then it's Frank Mir versus Bigfoot, and it was when Bigfoot was on a roll there because of the steroid use, and then he got off for the Frank Mir fight, and he got rocked. But so long story short, you have to look for value. You can't just run in and bet stupid in MMA. So let's start off with we got Clay Guida versus Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia is minus 270. Clay Guida is plus 210. This is a perfect example of that. Gun to my head, who do I like to win this fight? Rafa Garcia. But the value here is on Clay Guida, in my opinion. The value is on Clay Guida a lot. This guy is always an underdog, especially for the last 3, 4 years or whatever, when we've all been counting this guy's career as over. He's always doing that win loss thing, win loss. Like, to be honest, he shouldn't win any of those freaking fights at his age and all he's been through and everything. But his cardio is phenomenal. Rafa Garcia's is not. We saw him gas out, and I forget what fight it was, but it was one of his first fights in the UFC, if not his first, where he gassed out really bad. And Rafa Garcia is not old. He's only 28 years old. It feels like he's a lot older because he fought all those years in that combates. And I had high hopes for him, but he has not looked good in the UFC, in my opinion. I think he's on a little roll now, but and he is still only 28 years old, so there's room there. But looking at the way he gassed out in that fight and the way Clay Guida has a gas tank, and Clay Guida has the wrestling ability to, like, if he sneaks in 2 takedowns, the fight is over. 2 takedowns, one in the probably the second and third round. This fight is over. He's going to win a decision. That's what he does a lot. He wins a lot of like boring but very technical decisions. The guy knows where his strengths are. He's very difficult to get hit. He's got that stupid jumping around style. It frustrates people. It leaves him open. The next thing you know, he gets a stupid takedown and steals the round. And then the next round, you're worried about the takedown, and then he goes and takes you down again and just steals the decision. He does that a lot, and that's what I worry about happening here. So, but I'm also not throwing my money on a 41-year-old Clay Guida. So with this fight, I actually like the over. The over 2.5 rounds, I believe. When I checked it earlier, I think it was like minus 200. I still like it. Minus money at over 2.5 rounds is it's a difficult price, and I understand it's not a fun thing to watch, but in my eyes, I know everyone sees Clay Guida as an exciting fighter. He's not a very exciting fighter to me. He's very smart. And I think a lot of his fights are boring, actually. But I just see this fight going over. I don't see either guy being able to finish either guy because, like I said, you get hit with one punch and you're done in MMA a lot of times. Clay Guida does not get hit clean very often. He just doesn't. So I don't see Rafa Garcia doing it here. And if Rafa Garcia can't knock him out, I don't. It's very difficult to steal decisions away from Clay Guida. So it's going to be a tough fight. And but maybe they're trying to get Rafa Garcia. Obviously, anybody who you throw Clay in there against, you're trying to build that fighter up. So matchmaking wise, they are trying to get Rafa Garcia a win. They're probably trying to push Clay Guida into freaking retirement for Christ's sake. But I don't trust Rafa Garcia on this one. But like I said, I'm not going to put my money on a 41-year-old either. It's at a lightweight class. Although Guida's gas tank seems to hold up every time, I don't really trust him. But I don't like betting against him either. So like I said, we'll just go with the over here. Over 2.5 rounds at minus 200. In the next fight, we got Chris Gutierrez versus Pedro Munoz. Very simple here. Gutierrez is minus 200. Munoz is plus 160. Just give me Gutierrez here, either by I'll say a decision, 3 rounds to none, or a knockout within the second round. But probably I'm going to say a decision. I'm going to say a 3-round decision. Gutierrez is at the point now where he's got to. You keep winning. Eventually, they're going to have to give you a shot, or bigger fights. So Munoz is a great fight for him because Munoz is as bad as he's been in the last couple of fights. He's still in the top 10 for some reason. But I like Gutierrez here. He's got those freaking leg kicks, and I can't remember Munoz that much, but like the thing I can remember about him, I believe he has a very wide stance and he's heavy on his front foot, which is absolutely terrible for Gutierrez. That was one thing when I just saw these two names, and like I didn't do much studying for this card, all right. But the one thing I remember with Munoz, I believe he's very heavy on his front foot, and Gutierrez will kick that thing out. And so this is one of those fights where like if they're kind of evenly matched, but one guy has a great attribute to him, and that's Gutierrez's leg kicks. So give me the guy who has one great attribute. Munoz isn't great at anything, in my opinion. He's a very decent all-around fighter, but so is Gutierrez in that aspect. But Gutierrez has the trump card, or whatever you want to call it, with his leg kicks. So that's why he's minus 200. He's minus 200 for a reason. Just give me Gutierrez. I'll say decision. Like I said, 3 rounds to none, though. I don't think Munoz wins a round. 3 rounds to none, Gutierrez. Iwan Cutelaba versus Tanner Boser. Iwan Cutelaba minus 130. Tanner Boser plus a 100. And this fight is at light heavyweight. Tanner Boser's coming down to light heavyweight. We'll see how that works out for him. This fight is just... to be honest, the more I think about this, like, my pick, once again, gun to my head, and that's the way I have to look at a lot of these, like, some of these fights, like, I don't want to bet, but I bet every fight. I'm not going to sit there and watch a fight without having money on it. So, gun to my head, give me Cutelaba. I think Cutelaba can knock him out. Boser, my one thing with him is Boser's also a terrible wrestler. I know Cyril Gane is a big dude, but we all saw how bad his wrestling is in the UFC, or in the heavyweight division. It's terrible. But I remember his debut, he handled Tanner Boser on the ground for some of that fight. And he was supposed to be this big kickboxer guy. He handled Boser on the ground, and he's not that good he's a terrible wrestler. So Boser does not have that good of a ground game. So if you think Boser's size is going to be a difference, I don't think it's going to be. And you also have to you got to worry about a lot of things. When guys are at heavyweight, especially a small heavyweight like Tanner Boser was, he wasn't worrying about his weight cut at all. And if he's been fighting heavyweight his whole career, he never had to worry about a weight cut. He's never been watching stuff like that. Now you have to cut all the way to 205. Your power is going to go, that big speed advantage. I liked him at heavyweight. He had like a speed advantage over a lot of fighters. He's got decent striking. But that a lot of his power is going to, not that he had a lot of power to begin with, although it's the heavyweight division, he's not going to have, the power's not going to be there. The speed advantage isn't going to be there. The weight cut, you just don't know. There's all these unknowns with Bozer. So if I had to pick, I'm going to take Kutalaba at this fight minus 130. But what I'm going to recommend for this fight is bet this fight live. Kutalaba is notoriously known for gassing out and usually gasses out in the first round. He usually lands a punch or two very early, and then he jumps on the guy, and his poor fight IQ, or his just absolutely disgusting stamina. I don't know what it is, but this guy just seems to hurt a guy. He goes to jump on him, and then he just gasses out. And he gasses out early. He's like almost like Rodolfo Vieira or something like that. He gasses out early. So this would be a fight where if Kutalaba, I believe Kutalaba wins the first round no matter what the outcome is. If he knocks him out in the first round or he's going to win the first round, he could win the first round 10-8. If this fight makes it into the second round, at the end of the first round, live bet Bozer. I don't care what happened in that first round. Live bet Tanner Bozer after the first round. So hopefully in this fight, the magical setup here is Kutalaba hurts him in round one. And Bozer goes down, but Bozer doesn't get finished. Then you come back, you get him at live pick, you get him at like plus 250 instead of betting him at plus 100 right now. So that's what I think should do, because I don't think there's no way in hell Kutalaba wins a decision here. And if it goes past first round, I don't give him that very much of a chance at all. Maybe he's got a 20% chance of winning the fight if it goes past one round. I don't see it happening. I don't care what's happened in the first round. So maybe this is a fight where you go live bet at the end of the first round and go with Bozer. Because if it makes it to round two, I believe Bozer wins this. But gun to my head, I think Kutalaba knocks him out in the first round. That's what I think happens. And just like I said, too many unknowns for Bozer. These are fights I would love to just sit back and not bet it and just let's see what Bozer's got at light heavyweight. And hey, if he shows us something here, maybe he can be a contender in the light heavyweight division. You don't know. But give me Kutalaba here, and we'll see. This next fight, we got this Azmat Murkazamov versus Dustin Jacoby. My boy Dustin Jacoby. I'm going to be a little biased here. I love Dustin Jacoby as a fighter. I never bet against this guy. And I'm absolutely disgusted in his last performance that he didn't get that decision against Khalil Roundtree. It was an absolutely terrible decision. And that's the one thing I'll say about MMA. You need to get some better. You need to get criteria to your judging. This stupid damage shit that you guys talk about, it means absolutely nothing. There's no, like I said, there's just no criteria. Like, damage means nothing. Like, how could you say that his punches were more damaging if Jacoby's coming forward the whole fight and piecing him up the whole fight? It can't be that damaging if a guy continues to walk forward. You're not damaging him because he's not changing anything. Maybe they're flashier and they look better or whatever, but they need to get that figured out. All I want is consistency here. And fights like that all the time are usually scored for the guy who lands the cleaner, more effective striking. Just look at frickin' Max Holloway. That's the way the guy made a living. You don't knock anybody out with his punches. His punches aren't damaging, but he beats you on volume. And he's noticeably beating the other guy. That's what Jacoby did to Khalil Roundtree. He didn't get the decision. So I think Jacoby is pissed off at that. And I think he gets a win here against this guy. This guy's got some good wins outside of the organization. He beat Andre Nunez. He beat Mateus Schäfel. Might not be a great win, but Mateus Schäfel, he's making a name for himself in the PFL. That's the only reason I say he knocked out Bruno Capoloza last year, and then he just got knocked out by Bruno Capoloza last week. But it is somewhat of a name. And then he beat in the UFC. I think he beat that Nkoju guy from Nigeria, who I think is absolutely terrible. And then he beat Devin Clark. Devin Clark's halfway decent fighter, but he's got himself 2 wins in the UFC, and he came off the Contender Series. But 2 fights in the UFC, and you're 34 years old. There's no way I'm taking against a striker like Dustin Jacoby. Now, I will admit, I've not seen this guy fight a lot. I'm assuming he has a very strong ground game because his last name ends in OV. So I'm assuming he's going to have decent striking with a great either sambo game or a wrestling game. But that's not going to work against just Jacoby. Khalil Roundtree has a good ground game too, but they didn't. They just stood up and struck the whole fight. I think that's what this fight is going to be, back and forth striking, and it could be a 29-28. But I think Dustin Jacoby can win all 3 rounds. I think he can knock him out. He's on a different level with his striking. He's got some of the best striking in the UFC, and I think he gets it done here. Fairly easy. I don't think this guy's on his level, and but they have to move this guy up quick because he's 34 years old and he's only got 2 fights. So they're gonna do whatever to move him along. But give me Dustin Jacoby here, and Justin Jacoby was on an 8-fight win, so he's arguably on a 9-fight win streak right now. So, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, let's not bet against this guy. But just give me Jacoby by decision. But like I said, I'll say 3 rounds to none. 3 rounds to none. Co-main event here, we got Billy Quarantello versus Edson Barboza. Quarantello is -170 and Barboza's +140. This is a tough fight to pick. I hate picking fights like this because it's a styles thing. Whoever implements their game plan is going to win. I know it's a hack thing to say, but it's true here. And that's pretty much true in any of Barboza fights. Barboza, if his game plan works, you're getting knocked out. But this is a fight, just like against, Bryce Mitchell. It was like either Bryce is going to take him down or Barboza. And Bryce actually caught him with a nice punch and knocked him down. I think a lot of people are looking to that fight because Billy's, I would consider him a very similar fighter to Bryce Mitchell. He's not that dominant on the ground, but he's got that nonstop gas tank. So he's got a lot of advantages over Barboza. But I honestly think Barboza keeps his distance here, and I think he can win this fight. I think he can knock him out, or I think he can win 2 rounds. I don't see the fight hitting the ground, and if it does, I don't think it's till the 3rd round. I think this is a fight where if it goes to a decision, I'm gonna say Barboza wins the first 2 rounds, and Billy Q wins the 3rd round fairly easily because he gets a takedown eventually, but by the time Barboza will already be up 2 rounds to none. Or I think Barboza can knock him out. Billy Q has not fought that great a competition, and let me say, like, I've bet Billy Q in all of his fights in the UFC, and especially, they gave us a freaking layup with him against Spike Carlisle. I think he was plus money in that fight, or if not, the odds were extremely close, and hopped all over Billy Q, but like. Nothing really stands out other than his great gas tank, and he's got decent wrestling. Nothing really stands out that he's a special fighter. Like Barboza has his special stand-up, and I'm just going to take that here. I think that's going to overcome Billy Quarantello, his inexperience. And he's just never fought anybody at a striker on this high a level. I know Barboza gets taken down sometimes. His gas tank gives up on him sometimes. If he goes for the early KO, if he doesn't get it, he gets frustrated. But I think Billy Q thinks he can stand with Barboza for a little while, and I think it's going to cost him in this fight. So I'm going to pick Barboza by round 2 decision here. Now, they are setting Billy Q up to win this fight. This is a co-main event on a Max Holloway main card. It's on ESPN. They got eyes on him. The UFC is not trying to set up Barboza to do anything. He can't do anything in this weight class. He's not going to make another title run in his career. This fight is set up as a co-main event for Billy Q to put eyes on Billy Q. But I think it's a mistake. I think Barboza is just a bad matchup for Billy Q because of his striking. So give me Barboza at plus 140. Like I said, knockout 2nd round. I'm gonna say, I'll even say, like, be more specific and say a TKO. I think he rocks him on the feet, gets him up against the fence, and rains punches as Billy Q's hurt, and the ref will stop it. It's a TKO round 2. And last but not least, we have Mad Max Holloway versus Arnold Almighty Allen. Man, what a fight! What a fight! I honestly think this is one of the top 10 fights that the UFC could have made, and it's an excellent fight. Especially, I'll say not I'll say top 10 non-title fights in the UFC. This is it right here. And it's such an exciting fight. There's so many unknowns with Arnold Allen. Now, I am picking Arnold Allen in this fight. I am extremely biased towards Arnold Allen. I just saw something in this guy when he made his UFC debut. I think it was against, or maybe not his debut, but it was the Marquand Americani fight I saw. He didn't win. It wasn't a dominant decision, but there was just something I saw there in him. And then the next fight, I remember I absolutely fired a missile on him against Mads Burnell, and Burnell beat him the first 2 rounds, and then he came back with that beautiful, it was a guillotine or maybe a go-go choke or whatever, because Burnell had him against the fence again in the third round, and he pulled off that kind of a Hail Mary submission with like 2 minutes left to go in the fight, in a fight he was clearly losing. But since then, man, the guy's been on a roll. He has been dominant. I know people are saying like he didn't beat Kelvin Qatar. Qatar got injured. He was beating him he was beating him in that first round. He was going to beat him in the second round. Like, he would have wiped the floor with him. Let me tell you, he beat him a lot more convincingly than Josh Emmett did, and Josh Emmett got a freaking title fight out of that. So I don't like the fact that Arnold Allen didn't get a title shot either. But like, and this is a tough road to get a title fight. But I am picking Arnold Allen for this fight. I think his striking is. I'm not going to say it's on par with Max. I'm not going to go that far. But I think his striking is definitely good enough to hang with Max. And I think he has way more power than Max. He's deceptively strong. I understand his body type does not look like he's a strong guy. His dad was a former world's strongest man competitor. Trust me, the guy's got stupid strength in his genetics. And I think that could help him in this fight. The only thing I worry about with Arnold Allen is I think he said, he made that comment, like just like I think Qatar did before the Max Holloway fight, and he said, I'm a better boxer than Max. He said something like, I'm the best boxer he's ever faced, or something like that, which I believe to be true, but what it tells me is that, like, hey, let's find out who the better boxer is between us. And that could be dangerous for him fighting a 5-round fight with Max Holloway. Standing up with Max Holloway for 5 rounds might not be the greatest idea, but hey, I'm not going to go against what I thought about Arnold Allen, and I don't care who he fights. I said he would win a title. I said he would not lose in the UFC for at least 5 years when he got in, or since the Marquand Americani fight. I said he won't lose a fight for the next 5 years. So in case somebody comes up who's not in the UFC right now, I picked him over everybody in the UFC at that time. So, yes, I'll pick him here, and I will pick him to beat Volkanovski if he wins this fight. And Yair Rodriguez, I'm not sure yet. That's a terrible style matchup for Arnold Allen, but I will pick him here. And I think he hurts Max. I think he gets Max out of there. It's the only way he can win, really. It's going to be very difficult to win a freaking stand-up boxing match with Max Holloway, because Allen, he doesn't. He's another fighter like he doesn't really do anything great, but other than his striking, I think his striking is great. It just might be somewhat nullified here. But yeah, Max has been piecing up all these dudes or whatever. But like, I don't care. I don't believe their striking is on par with Arnold Allen's. I don't think Kelvin Qatar's striking is on par, and it showed in the last fight, as Arnold Allen's. It's not, and the guy has other options. That's why I like him to win this fight. I think he'll knock Holloway out. I'm gonna go fourth round knockout. At the time of the stoppage, I'm gonna say Allen's gonna be up 2-1 as well. If he loses a round, I think it'll be the first round. But after that, his power is going to be too much. He's going to hit Max with some clean shots. And Arnold Allen he does not care. And at this point in his career, he has to go for it all. So I think he's going to piece Max Holloway up. And I'm not even saying like Max Holloway's lost a step or whatever. Like, at any point in Max's career, in his prime, which he could still be in his prime, I would pick Arnold Allen to beat him. And I don't want to hear any excuses if Arnold Allen wins this fight as, a prime Max Holloway. I hate when fighters do that. All of a sudden, the guy's outside of his prime when he loses a fight. You notice how fighters never lose fights when they're, quote-unquote, in their prime? Because you always say the prime thing after the fight. But I like Arnold Allen in this fight, but I will just, for betting purposes, just know that I am extremely biased here. But I'm not going. I'm not going against what I've like I said. And remember, in all these videos, I'm placing money on the every bet that I tell you. So just don't be like, oh, this guy's just saying that. He's trying to get a hot take in there. No, I'm gonna lose money on this if Arnold Allen loses, and I'm gonna look real stupid if he loses. So feel free to hammer me in the comment section if he does. But I'm very confident about Arnold Allen's skills, and I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna beat Max, and like I said, I think he'll beat Volkanovski, and I'm gonna be placing money on both of those things. So we'll see what happens. But regardless, I think it's gonna be a phenomenal fight. It's gonna be a firefight. But Arnold Allen just has too much strength, and they keep up bringing that bring that dumb stat about Max Holloway has over 1,100 more significant strikes than the other people. Like, who the hell looks at CompuBox numbers anymore? Like, and if you want to look at numbers, like look at Arnold Allen's defense. He's technically has number wise he has the best defense in the UFC at that weight class. So something's got to give. But I think Arnold Allen is a more well-rounded fighter. I don't know. Maybe he pulls a ground game out of his ass, and somehow he gets Holloway to the ground. And Holloway's got to work on that, that brown belt that he's got, and he's definitely not going to submit Allen. But I don't see. There's no way Holloway's not going to be able to take him to the ground. So Holloway's one way to win is to literally just volume the shit out of Arnold Allen for 5 rounds. Which, hey, that could happen. He could piece him up. I definitely see Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen knows is going to be bleeding about 2 minutes into this fight. He's going to get popped with a few jabs. But once he gets the timing down and the distance down, I think he's going to crack Holloway. And once Holloway gets cracked, Arnold Allen's not going to give up. And he's a different fighter than the guys Holloway's been fighting, besides Volkanovski. But he's a different dude. He's a different dude. There's something that I see in him, and I'm not backing off of it just because he's fighting Max Holloway. So you guys enjoy the fights. Let me know what you think down below. And like I said, feel free to hammer me if Allen loses. I've been a fanboy of his. I've been yelling. I said, like, when Volkanovski went up to fight Makhachev, I said, he's running for the easier fight because he doesn't want to fight Arnold Allen. That's how far I've been talking about how much I've been talking up Arnold Allen. So but guys, enjoy the fights this weekend. The card's going to be great. The main card's going to be phenomenal. But have fun.